And then I am also going to try to... Jose, will you check to make sure we actually went live?
Yep.
Okay, looks like we went live.
We are live.
We are live.
Yep.
Settings, video. Jason keeps giving me crap about the video, my video being reversed out. And I thought I had a solution to that, and it's currently not working. And so...
What do you mean?
So
yeah, and
all the words and all the everything when I record, and like you guys might not see it reversed out.
It's right for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when the broadcast goes out.
Yeah, on the video on YouTube, because it's capturing my, so it flips the video for you guys as you're watching this, but on the capture, because it's capturing my screen, it's all backwards. And
so we have to record in front of a mirror?
Yeah, maybe.
So we just need to get signs made backwards.
Backwards? That's not a bad idea. I'll get all of the logos switched out. What's up, Betty White? What's up, Horse Trainer? How you guys doing? Hey, girls. Okay. While we're here, guys, we also want to drive traffic. Let's make sure we're driving traffic to all of the right spots.
Where are you guys recording from? Like here in California?
No,
nope. I'm in Waco, Texas.
Oh.
And I'm in Kansas City.
Oh,
That's
wow.
where we're headquartered out of.
Okay, so we're gonna drive traffic to Instagram, to Facebook, I'm assuming, to the website, which I have pulled up here. Anywhere else specific you want us to drive traffic to?
Instagram's probably our biggest, so that's probably good.
Okay.
Instagram, Facebook.
The website.
Yeah.
So you guys have Twitter,
the new
or X.
Threads.
Midland USA. Okay. All right. I was. Oops, that's the Midland site. Midland USA on Facebook as well. I was telling the guys. So Jason Varnadu and I were having some conversation earlier, and he sent me some graphics, and I posted that and was like, I was like, we're joining, Midland USA is joining us tonight. Ironically, my brother posted a post like at the exact same moment about Midland USA. And I told Jose, I said, watch, they're not going to be here, because every time we pre-post, every time we promote, something happens and it gets canceled every single time. Okay, I think we are good. Ladies, are you ready to go?
Yeah, sounds good. I'm ready.
Matt and Jose, Casey and Jose. Matt's not here.
Matt's not here. So
Jose, Matt's not here.
He's got good reason. Matt's at back to school teacher conference night for his kids, so he gets a pass for that one. All right. Live stream is still going. Yes, live stream is still going. What's up, Jason? Yes, and Jason, just so I don't know when you joined, but we just talked about me trying to flip the video, and it's not working, so deal with it. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it is 6:30 on a Tuesday night. We are live on YouTube as we normally are at 6:30 on Tuesday nights. We are joined by Kaylee and Olivia from Midland Radio in various parts of the country. How are you guys doing tonight?
Pretty how are you?
Good. Thank you guys for joining and for the cool swag that you see that I'm wearing. There's some shirts floating around here too, and we'll talk about the Midland products quite a bit. But starting off, Olivia, where are you at?
I'm in Waco, Texas, trying not to melt.
I was just gonna say, is it like 1,000,000,000 degrees there right now?
Yep, I think it's still like 99 degrees, and it's 8:39 at night, so it's pretty
It's
hot.
it's that hot here. So it was 102 today at my house, but there was little to no humidity. So yeah, you guys deal with the humidity and the heat.
Yeah, it's like an oven.
Yeah. Kaylee, where are you?
I'm in Kansas City, Missouri.
What's Kansas City,
which
Missouri
is where
like?
Midland is headquartered out of. Yeah.
All right. What's Kansas City like right now?
It's actually supposed to be 102 tomorrow, so it's getting up there. We still can't compete with Olivia though.
It is insanity. The
heat wave is sweeping the nation.
Yes, it is insanity. It's hot everywhere, which is it's a bummer for some of the outdoor stuff that we like to do, but we just stay in the cars with air conditioning. That's why Jose's going to sell the Land Cruiser, because the air conditioning doesn't work very well. He can't go.
I told you.
He can't go wheeling.
It's a good reason.
Yeah, if the air conditioning doesn't work, we're not going wheeling at all. And we're definitely not getting out to hike anywhere. So Midland Radio, for everybody that I would assume is familiar, is Midland Radio is known for their communications and the products that make it possible for everybody to communicate, not only on the trail, but in all different kinds of capacities, from everything from the handheld radios to in-vehicle mounted radios to base stations and stuff. Midland has a huge line of products around all that stuff. We'll get into some of those products here in just a minute, especially the ones that are relevant to us as off-roaders. But I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about how you ended up in the world of radio communications. Like is that one of those things, like when you were 12, someone was like, what are you going to do when you grow up? And you're like, you know what? There's this radio. There's these CB radios I'm really into, and I'm going to end up at a company. Like, how do you guys get there? I don't know who wants to start, but how did you guys end up at Midland? Kaylee will start.
Yeah, I'll go first. I actually went to Mizzou, and then I worked as a TV news reporter for 6 or 7 years. So when I left the business, I moved back to KC, and I found Midland. Yeah, and so I've been there for about 2 years now.
Wow. Do you bring any of your news reporter skills to the YouTube channel?
Occasionally.
That's funny. So, what is Mizzou for people that grew up in California?
Oh, that's the University of Missouri. I forget that everyone isn't from KC.
I think everybody knows what Mizzou is.
I would think so, only because of college football, but
it's a major. Yeah,
it is. It's a major school. Yeah. What did you go to school for? Was it journalism or PR or what?
Yeah, and my degree is actually in broadcast journalism. Yeah, so okay. I went for journalism and then did that for a couple of years. Yeah, and there's a decent amount of crossover between news and what I do now.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Nice. Yeah,
I can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we went to the spare bedroom school of broadcast journalism, and that's how we ended up with the podcast. That's how we figured it out. That's why it's not good. Olivia, how did you end up here doing what you're doing?
Yeah, so I was actually I'm a marketing major, but I actually wanted to go into sports marketing. I went to University of Nebraska, Omaha, and swam there. So I really wanted to get into sports, but it's hard to get into. So I took like a sales job working for Marriott out of college, and then hated it. Ended up taking a marketing job that was a scam job, selling door-to-door cable, and found Midland. So.
Wow, that's quite the career. I'll have to let my wife my wife is director of marketing for several hotels, including some Marriotts, and she went the opposite. She was like in tires and automotive and stuff, and ended up in hotels and loves hotels.
Really?
Yeah, it's very interesting how, looking at both of you and our personal paths. Like your career path starts in one direction, you think it's going to be something, and then you end up someplace completely different. I mean, I think that's at my age, that's the story of my life.
For sure. Well, it's a small world because my mom actually had summer job at Midland back in like the 70s. She used to refurbish CBs.
No
It was
way.
like a summer job when she was in college.
How funny. That
Yeah.
is so funny that so was she in Kansas City where Midland's at?
Yep. So that's where I'm originally from.
Oh,
We
okay.
made the move down here about 2 years ago.
Okay.
So
Because it wasn't hot enough in Kansas City, you needed
Yeah.
more of a challenge.
yeah.
You needed
Yeah.
not only did you need the heat, but sometimes flooding
She
just
needs
in
more
case.
humidity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And more heat.
more heat and more flooding.
Yeah.
Well, so officially, what is your title, Kaylee?
I'm a PR and content specialist.
Okay, PR and content specialist. Okay, Olivia.
Yeah.
I'm the social media content coordinator.
Okay, so I'm assuming the two of you work together a lot and collaborate on content, such as talking to a couple yahoos in the spare bedroom on a microphone on a Tuesday night because somebody convinced you to do it. But thank you guys for being here. This is really cool. Overall, like just if there was someone randomly that had never heard of Midland, what would you guys say is like the 30-second pitch for the Midland products and what you guys bring to the market?
Let
Well,
Kaylee take
Midland's
this one.
yeah, she'll let me do this one. Midland has, been around for decades, obviously known for CB, the first CB manufacturer in the United States, but over the last couple of years have just continued to be a leader in, two-way radio technology and weather radio and emergency radio technology. So that's really evolved as CB has become more and more obsolete, and GMRS and FRS radio have kind of, come to the forefront. So not only do we make those two-way radio communication devices for a lot of, off-roaders and other outdoor adventurers, but also we're number one leading seller in NOAA weather radios as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
I would, hold on, sorry to cut you off. I always tell people that come in nowadays to the shop asking for a CB radio that it's like buying a VCR.
Oh, that's exactly what it is.
It's like
unless you and your 12 buddies are all buying the same CB radio, you're not going to be able to talk
and you
to
plan
anybody.
on driving bumper to bumper.
Yeah. They're so staticky.
Well, it's funny though. Like, okay, I'm old, and I had CB radios. Like that was the thing, back in the 90s. Is we put CB radios in every one of our trucks.
Dude, on the first trail run, you were like, "Hey, make sure you have a CB radio."
I probably did. I probably did. And
I have 3 CBs in my shed right now.
And it was, it was the technology of the time, right? But when you compare the clarity and range of a CB radio to the products that you get from Midland and just GMRS and FRS in general, it's like, to Casey's point, it's like going back to VCR movies. It's painful. It's horrible.
Well, yes. CB only has a max power of 4 watts and GMRS is up to 50. So even given that, there's just a huge power disparity.
Yeah. And speaking of power disparity and wattage, for the last several years, we have been functioning on these $30 Bofang radios, right? And I think originally when it was 2 or 3 of us on the trail that were never more than 15 feet apart, okay, it got the job done, right? But we've been on several trail runs where there's 30 people, 20 people spread out over the course.
Spread out.
Yeah. And it's like the guy in front, which is me, relays it to whoever has the next radio that can then relay it to the next radio. And it became, I remember on one trip, they got to a point where we had no idea where the group was that got separated from us. And we ended up just like parking and waiting for an hour trying to find people because everybody got split up. And
that was our trail run.
Yeah, and that was ours. That was don't tell anybody that Casey. We were trying to keep that secret. Allegedly. But it's interesting that I did not know that Midland was the first manufacturer of radios in the country. It's interesting that they had the foresight to continue pushing the technology forward and following the moving forward with like the GMRS and FRS. And So we keep saying GMRS and FRS, and I have to. I'm on a Midland site, and I'm looking at a blog post that probably one of you guys wrote, but it talks about the difference. It talks about the difference between FRS, Family Radio Service, and GMRS, which is General Mobile Radio Service. Mm-hmm. So the Midland radios, do they work on both FRS and GMRS?
So I'll give you the whole rundown. FRS and GMRS operate on the same frequency. The only difference is FRS is anything 2 watts and under. So once it becomes anything above 2 watts, that's when it becomes GMRS radio, and that goes up to 50 watts. So GMRS and FRS, because they're on the same frequency, you can communicate and they're compatible with one another.
Okay, as long as you're on.
Yeah,
if you're
so
on
like
the same
our
frequency.
Our micromobiles, because those are 5 watts up to 50 watts, those are, GMRS, but a lot of our handhelds are FRS because they're 2 watts and under, but you can use your handheld with your micromobile. Got
it. See, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. The product range, if you guys go to the Midland Radio site, it's midlandusa.com, and you can find their products. You've got two-way radios, business radios, the micro mobiles, the NOAA weather radio stations. Like what is kind of the, I guess they're all probably bread and butter for you at this point, but like, let's talk about each one of them individually. The two-way radios themselves, what's like a normal use case that you guys are seeing with those X-Talkers?
Well, specifically for off-roading and overlanding, a lot of that is, people who don't have radio, so friends will pass out a pair to lend to them. Or also you have, getting out of your vehicle to spot or help with the recovery outside of the vehicle. Just really helps with that coordination with that person that's already in the vehicle, so you can, communicate easily with one another.
Yeah, that's what Casey and I were talking about, was having the mobile station, the micromobile built, mounted in the truck is fantastic. But then having one of the handhelds to be able to jump out and walk someone through an obstacle or communicate, I think that's a great scenario right there, a great setup.
And a lot of times we use them when we're doing events as well. We usually used to bring our old radios, just so we can go out and mobile record and be able to still communicate back to the booth.
And a lot of us don't. Matt's not here to give me crap about my cell phone service, but cell phones don't work in the desert. Like in Southern California, there's limited spots where you get enough signal to make it a worthwhile communication, and it's not real time, and it's not broadband, meaning you can't speak to more than one person at a time unless you do a conference call. It just the ability to communicate in real time to multiple people at once while on a trail, I think, is critical to not only the safety of the group, but the ability to have fun. I mean, when people start getting lost and no one knows what's going on and this guy's going the wrong direction, it gets super frustrating. The Biz Talk radios, just as a touch, that looks like a lot of commercial communication for, I would say, like security services and construction sites and all that stuff. Is there that much of a difference between the X-Talks and some of the business radios?
Yeah, some people use FRS license-free X-Talkers for their businesses, but the difference with that is that business radios, you actually purchase your own frequency so that you don't have any of that interference, with other businesses nearby. Or a lot of times businesses will pick up construction workers and different projects. So you purchase your own frequency. So it's a little bit different that way.
Okay, I have a frequency purchasing story. So years ago, like 100 years ago, because I'm so old, I did loss prevention, and I was working at a Mervyn's, and we had radios, just regular radios that we would use. And for whatever reason, the McDonald's around the corner was on the same radio frequency as our radios, and we would get into the drive-thru, and as someone in front of us was ordering, we would jump on the radio and place multiple orders for multiple Big Macs and large Diet Cokes for the person in front of us. It was horrible. I'm a horrible person. But that's why you need your own frequency.
That's why you need your own frequency. Yeah.
One of the things at the Midland site, you guys have the products, but I like how you have activities. How like you have things broken down by activities, and you can go to the off-road section and see all of the products that are relevant to off-road and overlanding, and the things that we can use in the community. Which is, you guys are huge in the community. I mean, you guys are always at events. You guys are always participating in things. You guys work with multiple podcasts, influencers, YouTubers. Like I feel like, and I know that comes down to the two of you, right? 100%, because CEO Bob Midland over there, he doesn't know he wants to look at the numbers. You tell me what's going on, and you guys are constantly involved in that. Was that something that you guys like kind of initiated yourself? What's the background to that involvement in the community?
So I started at Midland about 4 years ago, and I was just hired for social media, just posting, scheduling, maintaining that. And we had about 50 influencers at the time that our director of marketing was handling. And from there, I grew it. So now we have about 350 influencers. We work with probably about 50 different brands. And our influencers are ranging from farmers to off-roaders, preppers, business. So we have a pretty wide range. So we've grown that definitely over the years.
I love how she just throws preppers into that mix. Look, I'm not disparaging the preppers.
Preppers are no joke.
I'm not disparaging the preppers. Trust me.
They got the Venn diagram of all everything. You know what I mean? There's some overlap somewhere.
That's why I was going to say. We always talk about the Venn diagram of like off-roaders and overlanders and mountain bikers, and preppers is in there. Preppers is there's some corner
Some
of that.
They're one and the same, dude.
Yeah.
2020 was a big year for preppers. Say that. Their sales were great.
Especially in Texas where they couldn't keep the electricity on.
Yes.
Yeah, if you guys started selling like jarred meat in 2020, you guys would have sold out.
Probably.
Buy a Midland Radio. Get a 5-gallon bucket of slop meat. Just in case. It's a whole promo they're gonna do. You can get one of those 5-gallon slop buckets. So how is that working out with your involvement with the influencers? And I mean, again, from an outsider's perspective, it feels like you guys are such a presence in the community because you are always there.
Yeah, so I mean, I personally work with all 350 plus influencers. So it's a lot of just hands-on building relationships. But the influencer program's really grown, and it's one of the big reasons why our sales have grown and the presence, on social media has grown because everyone's posting about us.
Yeah. Well, and
in terms of content, we rely so much on them for our user-generated content because we're such a small company. So they're really crucial to all of our content that we put out around launches or promotions and whatnot.
Yep, and it's all organic content as well. So
yeah, well, that's kind of where I was going to go with that. Is that it's not like you're we're never going to get selponsored by Bang Energy, so I'm going to throw that out there. It's not like you're Bang Energy and you're just like someone standing there holding a Bang Energy, right? You guys are selling a product that we are using, that we are physically putting to use every time we go on the trail, that every one of these influencers, that it's like it changes their ability to communicate and do what they need to do on the trail. So I could totally see that organic content being more relevant and more impactful because it's so true. It's so like it's real, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, there's also been a shift, too, in GMRS, like the way people view it. Because at first, I think it was really big in just the race radio industry. Mm-hmm. And that's all people knew it for. But because Ham was getting a lot of popularity in the last couple of years. But then people don't want to get their licenses. And I think they got, frightened off because of the, it can get pretty complex, dude. I from what I hear, Ham radio. But then when these GMRS radios over the past couple of years, like their capability, like you can get on repeaters now for GMRS, and you can even send like data packets now over GMRS and stuff, and it's pretty crazy what you can do now.
I told you when we were in Johnson. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say with ham, you have to take a test to get your license, whereas with GMRS, it's no test. You just apply, it covers your whole family for 10 years, and it's $35. Yeah. So it's a lot more accessible than ham radio licenses are.
The GMRS radios, Joe K was in Big Bear when we were in Johnson Valley for King of the Hammers.
Yeah.
And he was able to bounce off a repeater and get me on the radio.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. That's how, I mean, he's way smarter than I am. I won't be able to figure it out, but I'm just saying there's a lot of capability there. And Casey and I want to do some testing with the radios because we've got 2 antenna. We've got the standard antenna length that came with the 575.
A little short guy.
The little guy.
Oh, the ghost antenna?
The what?
No, not that short, like fat one. It's a little.
Just the stock
antenna, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's short and skinny.
But then we have
it's about average size and like.
Yeah.
It's the and then the 275 came with the short, fat, stubby one.
The ghost antenna.
And then we also have the 6 dB long one.
The spring antenna.
Yes. So
what would be the difference between the stock one and that
about 32 one? Inches.
I mean, as far as like range wise.
Well, really, your stock antenna really isn't going to give you any extra signal output, whereas your ghost antenna may double or triple that signal output, and then your 6 dB whip antenna will depending on where you're at and what your obstructions and line of sight are.
Okay. Yeah, that's one of the things that Casey and I didn't get the chance to play with when we got the radios installed. We were kind of like messing around with the different antennas, and we want to get to a point where we're out in somewhere and see how far we can get with the little antennas, and then swap them out to the big antennas and go a little bit further, just to kind of get a real world view of what that looks like. Here at the house, there's 1,000 houses between me and the freeway, in case he was on the freeway.
I bet you can communicate across the valley, though, at like Johnson Valley.
Yeah, easy.
And we're actually getting ready to launch tomorrow a new line of 4 GMRS antennas, the Ride the Range line. But really what's important to note with your antenna and, the decibel that you're choosing is that not necessarily the highest gain isn't going to necessarily give you the most distance, because you want a lower decibel, lower gain for, environments like a city or mountains and whatnot. Whereas those higher dBs, those are going to be better for open plains, freeways, highways, that type of environment.
So is that because those antennas are changing the length, the distance of the wavelength, and that makes it easier to cut through some of those obstructions?
So like a lower dB casts a taller signal, while a higher dB casts a wider signal. So that's why those higher dBs are better for open plains, and the lower dBs are better for, mountains or cities and whatnot.
Okay. Look at
Cody's Bill Nye came out right there.
Dude, look at the learnings what's happening right now. There's so many learnings. Like, if we were good at what we did, we would have learned all this before we got on the phone with you guys. But we just figured you guys would tell us. So it's we're
more fun if we learn together on live.
It's real world. We're just pretending. Yeah. You know what journalism's like. We're pretending to not know so that you can tell us. That's what.
It's
like,
there you go.
You guys are really good actors.
It's one of those. It's like when you take a test as a class,
just
I wish you could get on those tests
just to make sure we all understand what's going
Group
on.
effort.
If in the MXT lines, like the micro mobiles, it looks like you've got everything from the 275 up, and you've got a bunch of different versions of that. Which one would you say is the most popular in the off-road community right now?
I would say the 275 or the 575 for starters, usually the 275, because that's the 15 watts and because it can, just be plugged into, your cigarette lighter. So it's an easy install, like less than, 5 minutes to get that up and running. Or the 575, because that has the 50 watts of power, which is the max allowed by law. Because of that, that's become one of our most popular radios. But those are both popular because they have the fully integrated control microphone. So all of the buttons are right there in your hand, and you can hide the radio head unit away. So a lot of people like that to save up their dash space.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about this weekend. So Casey installed the MXT 500 in his truck. He's got the 2014 Nissan Frontier, and right underneath the dashboard and everything in the center console was a perfect cubby that fit that 575 exactly where it was like made for the radio, propped up at the right angle. So we got his installed, and
I like that. It's not all on the handheld or whatever, on the the mouth, whatever
microphone.
I like that it's a unit where I have microphone. I like that it's a unit in itself.
Yeah. Very, very, very clean install. Very clean. That's one thing I noticed about the install we did this weekend on the two radios is that in the box came everything I needed to do the job. And
the hardest part is routing.
Yeah, the hardest part we had was trying to find a hole.
The firewall.
Yes,
That's the problem I hear from everyone. That's the one thing.
In the Ford, behind the back seat, we found a rubber grommet between the cab and the bed of the truck, and so we pulled that grommet out, and it was just the every bit of area necessary to get the antenna connector through, just enough. Like Jose and I were hanging upside down using needle nose to get it through there, but we got it, and then it came out super clean and easy. But the microphone just is a Cat 5 connection or a Cat 6 connection. The power is already set up with a plug, and then you guys provide the plug already with the whip on it. The antenna wires there with the connectors and the whole thing. Like, other than finding a way to route the wires, which is, it's going to be different for everybody on every vehicle application. You guys did a good job of making sure we had everything we needed to get the job done. Like, it's not one of those things where like you get a box that's got a radio in it and it's two empty terminals and you got to find wire, and it's, the kit itself is complete. I mean, that was one thing I noticed. And the other piece I noticed is that, again, I'm going back to my olden days when I had CB radios. The quality of the microphones and the thickness of the wire in comparison to some of those old CB radios that were like Fisher Price plastic, like it was
like the size of your hand, but it was as light as a feather.
It was
like, why is it so big?
Jose and I were looking at it like, wow, look at this, look at the size of the even the cable, like the insulation wrapped around the cable compared to the telephone wire and Fisher Price handheld that I was used to in the past. Is that quality? I mean, I'm going to assume that you guys aren't working in the quality department too, but I got to believe that those features and that quality comes from years of feedback from users in this space to get there. I mean, how have you guys been involved in some of that user feedback and communication process?
Honestly, we've used our influencers a lot for product testing. So even like products that haven't been released yet, we send them out to a few product testers, some of our influencers, and they provide that feedback for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could.
So just over time, it's developed.
Yeah, and then a lot of it's actually just being at those events and interacting with the customers and talking to them about, their pain points with communication and learning about the obstacles that they're facing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because in our vehicles, especially if you're in an open top, like in our, I'm old and lazy, so the windows are up and the air conditioning's on all the time. But still, there's a lot of dirt and dust and rattling around and banging and dropping the microphone at your feet, and like I feel like I could do all of those things to this mic and it would still work.
Yeah, they're very durable.
So the 75 designation on the models, I have found designates the remote mount base unit, correct? So what we're talking about, if you look at the MXT 500, that's the radio itself with the display and the buttons and all of that stuff on it, and you have to mount that in a place where you can physically reach it to change the channel and the volume and everything. And then the microphone's just nothing but a click microphone. The 275, 575, the base unit is, I probably should have measured it, But I would
like an old compact disc player.
It's like a Sony Walkman. Thank you, Jose. It's like a Sony Walkman, and there's a lot of people listening to this show right now that know exactly what I'm talking about. You're my guys. You're also my guys. The same guys that were like, I remember my CB radio.
Not a Walkman. Not a Walkman. A Discman.
A Discman. Sony Discman. Yeah. That's right. But it comes with the mounting base and everything, and like I found that it's got the little tabs. You pull the tabs, you can slide it out, screw the thing on, slide it back in. So it's a 1.5 inches, 2 inches tall, and like maybe 6x6 square, and you can mount that anywhere in the vehicle, and it doesn't need to be seen because all of the controls are inside the microphone. And what I ended up doing was mounting the base unit behind the back seat of the truck, because that's where we had the antenna going out, and I was able to run power to it and everything. And the microphone cable is, even though it's coiled, you could probably stretch it pretty far. I didn't want to stretch it from behind the back seat. I just got a Cat 6 cable and a coupling, and I was able to run that Cat 6 under the floorboard into underneath the front seat. And so I just plugged the microphone into there. So you don't even know I have a radio most of the time until I plug that thing in. And then there's an external speaker mounted under a seat that we'll talk about at another time. But it provides, for those that don't have a lot of space in their dash area, it provides an opportunity to mount that thing someplace where it doesn't need to be seen. Is that that's not, I mean, it's new to me, but when did you guys start building those units that had that remote mount capability?
I think the MX2s came out probably about 5 or 6 years ago. We started with the 275 with the mic, all the stuff on the mic, and then the 50 watt just came out probably about 1.5 years ago.
Okay.
Or I guess a year, Kaylee.
About that time.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's
all blur.
So again, and I'm sorry to keep belaboring this, but it's all I have to relate it to. Going back to CBs, like to get a powerful CB, that was the size of a file cabinet. It was like, in order to get a CB that worked really well, it was huge. It had to be giant, right? These are...
And it still didn't work really well.
Yeah, it still didn't work. These are 50 watts in a tiny little footprint.
Mm-hmm.
One of the plus sides for me is I don't have to charge it. There's just power to it all the time. I don't know how many times I went out and was like, yeah, it's got charged.
Yeah.
And then we get halfway through the trail, I'm like, hey, man, just use hand signals because my radio's dead.
Well, I
got nothing,
There's that story. So we were in Parker, Arizona, and I had a bunch of people.
That was a great trip.
There was this trail that I had mapped out, and we'd never been on it. We didn't pre-run it or anything. And so I got to a point where I got on the radio and I said to everybody, hey, stay there. I'm going to go scout this out. I'll let you know. And I ended up on the side of a cliff, and I like literally to the point where I was like, this is horrible. I got to back up. I look in my mirror, everybody's behind me because my radio had died and nobody heard me say, stay there. They all just followed me up. And so now there was 10 of us on this cliff, and we had to figure out how to get all the way through to the other side without dying. And it was like that moment of, oh man, this radio just let me down so bad.
Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about the upcoming product release on the range whips. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, so we have a set of 4 different heavy-duty bull bar antennas that will be launching tomorrow, and they range anywhere from 3 dBs to 7.5 dBs. So they're really Aussie inspired if you look at some of the overlanding antennas that they've had. So those come out tomorrow. Yeah, they're very durable and they look pretty badass too.
Yeah.
And so the first place they could get them would be obviously on midlandusa.com, like live for purchase tomorrow.
Yep. At 10 a.m. Central Time.
So you've got the Grand Vista, which is 7.5 dB, the Highland Tall, 6.5, the Highland 3 dB, and the Canyon Edge at 3 dB. They look, I see what you're saying, Aussie style. They look more like those fiberglass Fire Stick CB antennas than the wire ones. Yeah, I like that. I like that look a lot. And I'm assuming they're direct replacements for the existing ones with the same fitting to screw them on to the base?
So mounting is going to be a little bit different with those. So they are compatible with our roll bar mirror mounting antenna bracket. However, mostly you're going to want to put them on your bull bar. So they're mounted on like a 1/2-inch hole.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. I know. And there's several options for value packs. So the 1, the 4, and the 5 all come in value packs. So you can get like a spring base for those two that help kind of with that heavy duty durable aspect. But then, the 4 and the 5 are interchangeable as well. So you can swap those out.
Okay. That's very cool. The just out of curiosity, what's the R&D on those kinds of things? Like how long have you guys been talking about this product before it got released?
Since before I started, I think. Maybe.
There's a lot of stuff in the pipeline that's the process.
What?
Yeah. What does it rhyme with?
Yeah. What kind of stuff do you got?
Look, there's nobody paying attention. No one's listening to this show. No one's watching this. You could tell us. It'll just be between us and Presley.
We'll edit it out.
So these new Ride the Range antennas are coming out next. What'd you say, tomorrow? Tomorrow. Do you have a timeline on what the next product release is and what that'll look like?
Yes.
August.
Something coming August.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Something will be coming in August.
Accessories.
Very cool. More accessories in August. That's very cool.
Like a fanny pack?
Yes, yes. The Midland fanny pack with a radio built in. It's gonna have retractable earbuds that go into the fanny pack for trail communication when you're traveling.
Right.
Man, I think we just patented some, Casey, right there. I think we just came up with the FannyCom 2000. The R&D and product growth of Midland is very impressive because you guys are continuing to push the envelope of what's out there. Is there any, and you may not be able to answer this, but is there any like long-term plans for the products that are something you guys have been working on for a long time that you can tell us about, like, goals of the organization, or they want to put Midland Radio on the moon, like any pie in the sky stuff like that?
No comment.
Wow. You guys are really good at keeping secrets, man.
Very, very hush hush.
Very hush hush.
I like it.
What events are coming up? You guys are probably tired of traveling from all the expos and stuff, but what do you guys have coming up next on the calendar?
We will actually be at Overland Expo Mountain West. We'll be at Great Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion, and then also Overland Expo East as well.
So you guys have a busy schedule.
We do.
Very busy.
When are you guys coming out to the West Coast anytime this year? October is usually Off-Road Expo is usually, Off-Road Expo is usually October. You guys coming out to California for that?
Where is that one at?
Pomona.
We'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a brand ambassador, Mike Fizzle. He drives the white Rubicon.
Yeah, I met
the
Mike,
white Gladiator.
Yeah, I met Mike at Overland Expo West. He's a super cool guy.
Yep, he will be at that event for us.
Okay, very cool. So again, going back to your ambassador program, people like Mike that are not only using it in his tour business and his training and all that stuff, but is super knowledgeable. I remember Olivia and Jason and I sat with Mike for, 20 minutes, half hour, and I was kind of off to the side having a conversation with Mike, and I probably learned more about radios in that 20 minutes than I thought I didn't need to know. But someone like Mike that's and the ambassadors that you guys have in your stable that are knowledgeable in the product, I think also helps propel the brand further.
For sure.
If someone as a influencer was listening to this show and they wanted to see what they could do to help propel the brand, what would you suggest they do?
like become a Midland influencer?
Yeah.
They can reach out through Instagram at midlandusa.com. So I manage all of our Instagram and all of our social media. So they'll get a direct response from me, and I'll let them know.
It's like, no, we're okay now.
No, we're good. We're good. The Trail Chaser guy said, no, not you. Do you, I gotta imagine you get a lot of those. How much of your life is consumed by direct messages on Instagram? You need
It's always when we launch a new product, then my actual email I'll get like 50 emails from all these people who I haven't talked to in 2 years. And they're like, hey.
Yeah. And you're like, new email, who dis?
Yeah.
So you're responsible for curating all these cool images on the Instagram page?
Yep. The majority of it is some are event photos, but the majority is all just user-generated content, so photos from our influencers.
Okay. I see there's one here, guy on a motorcycle, Jose, and he's got a radio in his pack. And I think that's a great idea, except for you, that radio would be smashed because
I would have fell on it.
You would have fallen on it. Luckily, they're very rugged.
I gotta put it on my backpack.
You need to tape it to your cheek because it's going to be destroyed. Jose falls on his motorcycle a lot, is what happens. Jose's not good at riding motorcycles. The brand itself, like when did you guys say that the brand started?
1959.
Wow, that's almost as old as me. So the brand has like this really robust history in communications and helping people not only enjoy the outdoors, but like we talked about emergency vehicles and those kinds of things. Where did that start? Like, I don't know the history. What's the basic history of Midland and how it came to be?
That's a great question.
There's just been a lot of history with it. I know our minority owner and president has been involved kind of since the get-go, and that was kind of around, the start of the CB radios. So really starting with that manufacturing, and then, kind of just continuing to be part of innovation within the two-way radio technology. But yeah, that's it.
But I mean, again, I go back to the conversation about how like it just started as two-way radios and then CB radios, and like you guys are now at the forefront of communication technologies and constantly bringing out new products that you won't tell us about for some reason. I don't know why. Like I said, no one's paying attention. But the Midland product. So we are going to be raffling off a contest. We kind of wanted to wait for this to happen, but we've got one of the Midland emergency crank radios, AM, FM, and weather alerts, and
a couple of
some X-Talks that we're going to be doing a contest for. And then later in August, we'll be doing another contest for something else that we'll talk about when the time is right for that. And continue. And I go back to our experience with communications and how we talked about earlier, on the trail with a bunch of people, not being able to communicate effectively has impacted our ability to have a good time and make sure everybody's safe and get where they got to go. And it's one of those things you may not realize how critical it is until it just doesn't work for you. And then I think that's where the Midland comes in to help bridge that gap from the starters that are like, yeah, this is all I need, to, oh man, this I'm in trouble now because this thing doesn't work. I need to do something better. And I really think that you guys have done a good job of creating a broad spectrum of products to appeal to multiple different people for multiple different applications. So people should go to the Midland USA on Instagram and on Facebook, and the website is MidlandUSA.com. Yeah, you guys did a good job of grabbing all those properties. Really good job, whoever did that.
We're also on Treads now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Jumped on that.
We did not jump
What is
on
that?
That's
It's like the new Twitter for Instagram.
Yeah, it's Instagram's Twitter,
God,
which Twitter
one?
is now X. It's not Twitter anymore.
No bird.
Okay, sorry I asked.
It's
sorry I asked.
Twitter is now X, but the X is branded by Meta. How much of your life, Olivia, is like trying just to understand how many different apps you need to be on at any given time?
Too much.
there's those
too much to keep up with.
Yeah, there really is. I remember for a while there was like Hootsuite, where you could connect everything to one app and just post on one app, and then it would post everything. I tried to do that with If This Then That, the If app, and that didn't work. It's a I don't even know what your full-time job is like, but I think you need 2 more people to help, is what I'm saying.
Probably. With all the social media platforms coming out, like I found out last week that Treads was a thing, and they're like, you need to get it. One more thing to post.
And you're like, but I don't want to. We have Trail Chasers accounts on all kinds of stuff, and like no one's touched it in 6 years.
Yeah.
We just have the username parked. I haven't looked at that. What's that? Tumblr. I haven't looked at my Tumblr.
Oh wow!
In 7 years. But that's neither here nor there. You guys are super active in the community and coming up with a bunch of events. Super active on social. We really appreciate the opportunity to spend some time with you guys, not only tonight, but to continue working with you on some other things. And like I said, we'll talk a little bit more later about the installations we did on the radios this weekend. Specifically kind of like the how we configured it all, but the takeaway for me was that the products are built really well. Like I said earlier, the kits are very complete, and I am very, very excited to be able to deny making a U-turn from much farther away than I used to be able to. See, the thing is, before they were so close, when I made a U-turn, they knew it. Now I can be so far out in front of them, I can make U-turns all day long, and they won't even be able to tell.
You'll never know.
Never know.
Except they'll see you going the other direction.
All right, Casey, you're ruining my logic here.
They'll go, oh, he made a U-turn a mile up the way.
No, I didn't. Well, ladies, look,
I'll know.
I know it's late where you guys are at. And I really appreciate you guys joining us tonight and sharing all the knowledge about Midland and a bunch of the other stuff that you guys are talking about. And again, I don't think this is going to be the last time we talk or work together. And I do appreciate the opportunity to spend some time with you guys. So do you guys have anything else before we let you guys go?
Stay tuned for the antennas tomorrow at 10 a.m.
Launch tomorrow at 10 a.m. Central Time.
10 a.m. Central Time, which is like, I don't know, Tuesday on Pacific Time. What time? What is that?
2 a.m. Pacific?
I think it's like 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock.
Well, that would be 8 o'clock, wouldn't it?
8 o'clock.
That's what I said. It's like 9 o'clock. Somewhere around 8, 9 o'clock or whatever. It's Pacific time.
What?
So tomorrow.
How am I coming up with the right answer?
Tomorrow morning.
Sometime tomorrow.
There's a launch.
Hawaii, it's already for sale.
Yes. If you're in Australia, you can buy it today. That's what I'm saying. Like I don't know how time works. We're not good at this math. But thank you guys so much for joining us tonight, and we are looking forward to spending some time with you in the future. And you guys have a great night.
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys too.
All right, you guys did not hang up. Good job.
Yes.
Okay, we are still live, so we won't say anything that we're not supposed to say.
About a future release.
Yep.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Thank you very much. That was very cool. I really enjoyed the conversation. You guys had a lot of knowledge, and you guys helped us out with making us smarter, which is a really hard thing to do because we're pretty dumb. I will edit this tomorrow, and I'll upload it to the media host. It'll be ready for download on Thursday morning on all major platforms. I'll send you an email with when everything's uploaded. I'll create some social media posts. We can put it up there and promote the show. I think I have some follow-up to do. Olivia, you had introduced us to a couple people, and I'm not sure where that communication dropped. I know over the last couple of weeks I've been kind of disconnected because I've had a bunch of other stuff going on. So I will circle back with those guys and get them on the show. And then we'll continue to drive that cross-promotion of the Midland product and the ambassadors. If there's anything else in the future you guys need, including my daughter popping up over here, she's mom's traveling this week, so Presley's visiting us in the studio. She's usually not in here. But if
usually it's rain.
Yeah, it's usually Casey's son that's sleeping on his lap. But yeah, Presley's just hanging out here. If there's anything else you need from a promotional perspective or ambassador or cross promotion or whatever, please do not hesitate to reach out. We'd love to work with you guys.
Yeah, of course.
You've got all my contact information and some of that other stuff we talked about earlier, Olivia. I'll send that to you in an email as well.
Okay, perfect.
All right, ladies. Thank you so very much for hanging out with us, and you guys have a good night.
Yeah, thank you. You
too. Thank you.
Bye. What are you doing, baby? Hey, you just hanging out, or do you need something?
Just trying to get on that ambassador list.
Trying to get that 575 radio.
Okay, well, if you're going to hang out, just try not to be as distracting. Why don't you just hang out and sit on the couch or sit in my lap? You just like seeing yourself on the camera, huh?
Yeah, I gotta move my antenna because it's really fine now, especially now that I'm definitely switching to that bigger antenna.
3, 2, 1.
And so that's the second time I was kicked out of the women's prison.
So, as if these guys haven't never done this again, never done this before. Casey starts going right into the second segment without waiting for us to be ready to record. So
we're recording.
Yeah, thank you to the ladies for joining us tonight, and again giving us all that knowledge. So Casey, Jose, and I did work on some installs this weekend. We want to talk about that a little bit. Jose hung out for a while, and then he had something else to go do.
I did.
So he bailed for good reason, understandably so.
He had a work meeting.
At a work meeting to work out that meeting. So like we said, Casey. So Casey has the Midland 575. I'm sorry, 500. I have the 575. Matt and Jose each have the 275. The Matt and Jose have not installed theirs yet. That'll be a future
That's going to be a simple install for me because I'm just going to plug it right into the cigarette lighter.
Yeah, for you guys, it's...
And I have that
cubby.
Well,
I mean, you do have to mount it somewhere. It has to be mounted a little bit. But
yeah, but I have that little cubby by my shifter.
Oh, yeah, you do. Yeah. That's going to be a super install, easy install for you.
I think the hardest part for me is finding where to put the antenna.
Mm-hmm. But, I mean, if it's a temporary mount, because the antenna comes with a magnetic base.
No.
You could literally go like Starsky and Hutch style.
Yeah.
Throw it up on the yeah. Dude, do you remember Starsky?
I think I could lift my truck with that.
Yes. You could literally Starsky and Hutch that antenna and then just run the cable in the door, right? Yeah, it's just so Casey's 575 is the full size unit. 500 is the full size unit with the display and everything on it, and like we said earlier, it mounted directly in the cubby hole in front of the shifter on his Frontier.
Yep.
And
the reason I like having the actual unit that I have to, do all the adjustments on the unit, I feel like driving it around, holding on to that microphone, I'm just going to like bump it like crazy, make changes, whatever.
Yeah.
I set that unit down there and then the only thing I have to do is talk on the microphone.
I wonder
for my personal use case.
Yeah. I'll have to look at the, I have the box for mine here. I'm gonna have to look to see if I wonder if you have a keypad lock, bro. There's a keypad lock on the keypad. So yeah, you can lock out the microphone keypad. So
you're assuming A, I would find it. B, I would know how to do it, and 3, that I would actually do it.
So Casey's, we mounted the unit right there on the center console. Where did you just ran power right to the battery, right through the firewall into the battery?
I went straight to the battery, yeah.
And then the antenna, he mounted the antenna at the base, like the far back of the hood, right in front of the windshield. You were just saying
like where a ditch light would be.
Yeah, so
that's where I would want to mount my antenna.
So Casey was just saying that he was going to move it though. Why?
Oh,
okay. So with the little small antenna, it's fine. But after talking to the ladies, like I think I should be running that large antenna. And when I put the large antenna on, because of the slope of the hood, it just looked. It looked.
Oh no!
You had 49-year-old syndrome. It's like it's not straight up and down anymore.
It looked wonky, and for like my OCD, I was like, nah, that's
no. I would have to go. I would want to mount it on like a pod, like a light mount, like where your dish light mount.
Yeah.
The antenna on that.
You probably
that would work really well because it would be nice and parallel or straight or whatever.
Perpendicular.
Where I have it I'm gonna move it and put the big antenna on.
Okay.
But it'll be super easy because it's just a magnet, and the antenna's already into the engine bay technically. Yeah. I just have to drop it down and then like run it back over to where I want to do it, like probably on the kind of like the back of the cab or something like that. But
I've never gotten complaints on my antenna size.
No.
Just saying.
No one's real happy with mine, including myself. I
find myself periodically just like turning it on.
Yeah.
And then turning it off again.
I did that. So
I'm like, someone talk to me.
So my radio is the 575. So that's the remote mounted base unit, and the speaker is on that base unit. So like in a Tacoma, you could mount that unit under the front seat if you wanted to. And then you'd still have all the functionality on the microphone, and then you'd still be able to hear the speaker from the base unit. So, but I ended up mounting the base unit on the back wall of the cab behind the back seat. We folded the seat forward, screwed the bracket on there, mounted it. That was centrally located. It gave us the opportunity to go through that grommet we talked about and put the antenna on top of the cab, and then ran the power from there to my switch pod, so I can turn the radio on. I was going to say CB. I can turn the radio on from my switch panel, and then as soon as I hit the button, the radio's on and ready to go. And Casey, I was doing the same thing. I was driving around yesterday and today.
Somebody talk to me.
Well, I just, what it was is because I have the little antenna on there, the base antenna on there, just driving around town, like this morning taking Presley to school, I just turned it on and hit the weather station just to kind of get a feel of how it sounded while I was driving with cab noise and what the signal, like if the signal dropped out or whatever. Even with that little antenna, I had signal. I never didn't have signal. I could get that weather station the entire time. I'm very curious to see what kind of range we're going to get with those 6 dB antennas.
We could test them out, not this weekend, but next weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go to the desert.
Pure 4x4.
Yeah. That's right. We got to talk about that. You and I can talk about that tomorrow and figure out what we're going to do. Hold on a second. Since Tammy's not here tonight, we got the door open, and so that Presley can come in and out. And now the dog, Cooper, has decided that's enough reason for him to come in and look at me and say, "I want some food. What's for dinner?"
Yeah,
that's Cooper's voice. If you don't know, yeah, dude, I'll feed you later. So the antennas, I think because with mine being mounted on the top of the cab, like we talked a little bit about, like making sure it's on a good, like you don't want to, you're going to get a better reception from or better signal having it mounted on a good solid metal surface than if you were to mount it on top of a fiberglass. So I feel good about the mounting location. It's as high up as it can get with that solid foundation below it. We did get, brackets for like roll bar brackets, whatever. and I thought about mounting it off the side on the bed rack.
But would that cause interference?
I don't know. I don't know if it would interfere with the signal. My concern was branches and stuff. So if it's on the cab, like, you know, that's as far in as protected as it can get. Whereas like if it was off the side, like at one point you had an antenna off the side of the Land Cruiser in the back. Yeah. Like that to me is an opportunity to get clipped a bunch of times.
It was.
Yeah.
And it did.
Hence
it's not there.
Yeah, that's why it's not there anymore. I like the idea, and they make it really easy with those magnetic bases. You just drop it on there, you're done.
The whole kit is like, it's pretty brainless. Dude. Other than like routing, like where you're gonna put things and routing things.
Yeah, that's the hardest part of
the
whole thing. This
wire really only fits into one spot. Yeah. These two wires clearly go into those wires. Like
I was really surprised that we got 2 of those installed in less than a day.
Yours took 3 hours. Mine took 30 minutes.
Yeah, yours did. Yours was super quick. And most of my time was Jose and I. What if we put it here? What if we put it? Because we really wanted to like explore the different options with the remote. Like yours, it had to be mounted someplace where you could reach it. With mine, with the remote mount, knowing that I could extend the microphone cable with a standard Cat 6, we were like all over. What if it's under the seat, behind the seat? What if we put it on the on the?
Let's put it in the gas tank.
Yeah, let's put it in the back. It was really an opportunity to kind of explore all of the different mounting possibilities of that unit. I think for if you've got a vehicle with limited space, or you want to make it so, like, if someone got in my truck right now, they'd have no idea I have a radio in that truck, right? Because the unit is not, it's hidden. You can't see it. You can disconnect the microphone, put it in the center console. It's got all kinds of features and locations and what have you. The options are endless, essentially. So, what do you think? What do you think you're going to do with that antenna case? You just route it and put it back on top of the cab?
Yeah. So, on the Frontier, you have like the top part of the cab, and then it's kind of a 45 before it reaches the vertical where like the back window is. So I'm thinking maybe on that 45, so it'll be up higher, but it'll also be kind of angled backwards to where it won't be too high, so it won't be so susceptible to branches and stuff. And it also will be like not as out in the open. It'll be a little more sleek or whatever. Like kind of just my OCD kind of kicking in. Like that antenna was angled, and I was like, I can't. I'm going to be staring at that the whole time and just crash into stuff.
Yeah, Jason from Outdoor by Force sent us a picture of his antenna on his Tacoma, and it's basically what you had talked about, Casey, which was the antenna on a like a ditch light bracket. There's those.
Oh, that's what Jose was talking about.
Or someone was talking about.
Somebody was talking about.
It basically, it's one of those. It's a bracket, and they make these.
It's got to be your antenna.
It's got to be. Yeah. They make those brackets that fit underneath the hood, like what and sit between the hinge. I mean, so you could absolutely do that. You could put it either on the side or the back. The only thing with the antenna right there in front of you, does it not bother you, like staring at it the whole time?
The little small one is fine, but that big one's gonna bug me.
Okay, yeah, I would think so.
So I'm either gonna put it on the cab, or it's gonna get mounted on the rack that I'm building.
What about those big dog ones they're coming out with tomorrow?
Yeah, I like those. I like that style a lot. Like if
you got to get a Overland AF bumper, bro.
No, because I could go back to what we talked about, and off the front of my bed rack, I could put I know someone that can weld a tab onto that, and then I could just mount it right in front of the rooftop tent, bolt it through that way, and run it right in the same antenna,
same
cable.
Cable.
I think that might be
fond of those ghost antennas.
The little stubby ones.
Yeah. Well, they're average size.
They're thicker than usual. At least that's what I've heard. Yeah, I think this is one of those things that we have been talking about for a very, very, very long time. And
we've done like 4 trips since the first time we said,
and every
we really need to get better communications.
We need to get better radios. Jason said he doesn't pay attention to it anymore. I'm not sure if he's talking about the antenna or us. I don't pay attention to the idiocy of this show anymore.
My biggest thing, like I said, my biggest thing is that I don't have to charge it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Sure. That's the biggest thing now. It's like,
you know what I mean? It's like, no matter what, I have communications. You know, I'm gonna struggle when I still have the handheld to get out to spot people, whatever, things like that. But
yeah, but I think those
go out and go. I don't have to think about charging my radio.
Yes, I think because remember going back to when I had 9 of those radios, I would literally go out into the front room where the bar is and plug in power strips and line them all up before a trip.
Like leading up to a trip, that's how it'd be on my counter. I'd have like all the little things I need to be charging, and the radios, like make sure the radios are charged. And they take forever since I put the extended batteries on those ones. Yeah, they take forever to charge. Mm-hmm. So it's just going to be nice to just be able to turn the radio on and go.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm
aside from the added power.
Yes. Yeah, that's the part that I can't really. I can conceptualize the fact that we were working on point.
It was 5 watts.
The
Bofang.
Yeah. To go from that to a 50-watt unit, 10 times more. Like I can't even fathom. Casey and I in the driveway next to each other just did hey, does the radio work? And obviously that's not going to tell us what the range is like. But what I did notice is the clarity in the voice. Crystal clear. Like none of that. Wait, what did you say? It was like I heard exactly what he said. I'm interested to see how if that clarity deteriorates at all by space, by distance. I don't know.
By obstruction.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think it's going to take a lot of distance and a lot of obstruction to make it like to the same clarity as a Bofang.
Yeah.
From half the distance or whatever.
I'm just glad our radios are up to par for when all the other people that we invite, like
that was always so funny. Like we're on the trail trying to relay information, and everybody that came on the trip that wasn't us is like, "I'll take care of it for you."
Well, the thing is, if you look on their website too, it's like so you can get the Bofang for as low as $20, right? Like the base one, whatever, on Amazon. For $100, you can get 2 of those X-Talkers.
Yeah. Which is
like if I was smart enough, I would have just done that from the get-go and avoided a ton of different problems.
Make sure you get your licenses. They're cheap.
That's a good point. That's a really good point.
People spend a lot of money on other stupid things, lights, and then oh shoot, I need a radio. Let me order one for $20. But us, just like everyone else, should have thought of communications before a lot of other different things, like light bars before lockers, right?
Yeah, but in all honesty,
that sort of thing, right? It's like I got to get me these ditch lights before I can even talk to anybody,
In all honesty, coming from old school CB radios, I really felt like, oh, this is more than enough. This is, they work way better than the CB radios. But it's not until they let you down that you're like, wait a minute, this is more critical than I really gave it credit for.
If you're thinking about buying a CB radio, message me. I will send you one of the CB radios that I have, and then you can buy.
Dude, there's 2 people in the chat that were trying to give theirs away.
Yeah,
and they can't give it away.
I will. If you're going to buy a CB, message me. I will send you one, and then save your money, and you can buy some X-Talkers.
That's so funny. Yeah, I'm
gonna have like nice CBs too. I'll send them right now.
No, these 2 have like the cream of the crop ones.
Yeah,
they can't even give them away.
I'm super excited about this upgrade, this step up that we got with Midland Radios.
It's about time.
It is absolutely about time, and thank you guys thanks to Midland for helping us get here, and thanks to Casey and Jose for helping with the install on my truck. And then Jose, are you gonna?
Mine's gonna be pretty straightforward, I think. I mean, it's just gonna be in that cubby. I think the hardest part is just gonna be the antenna.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll get it done between now and the next trip. Casey,
slap that chase light on at the same time.
Yeah,
but I gave Casey. You weren't standing there, but I also gave him 2 amber pod lights if he didn't want to go full chase light back there. You can just do 2 amber pods.
Okay.
So he's got options.
I got options.
Mm-hmm.
He won't do any of it, but he's got options.
I'm not mad. I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
Right.
The Casey Pure 4x4. I saw a post from Pure 4x4 that Bear Valley Overland is going to be participating. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. I swear to God that 6 months ago we had 6 months until the show, and then I blinked and it's 2 weeks away. So Pure 4x4 at Holcomb Valley Ranch up here in Big Bear, August 3rd through the 6th. Bear Valley Overland has a booth there, so we will be there. We're probably going to go set up like Thursday afternoon. We tried to participate last year, but we just didn't get involved quick enough. It's going to be a humongous event. They have a handful of like DJs and live performers, food vendors, all the major off-road and overland vendors, games, seminars, classes, on-site camping. That place is, I don't know if you've ever been there, Jose, have you?
Where?
The Holcomb Valley Ranch?
Holcomb
Valley Ranch?
No.
I know Cody's been there and seen it. The place is awesome. They have that big, like center there where they do everything, where they do raffle and entertainers and shit like that. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a humongous show. Looking forward to being like the only Nissan Frontier there.
Yeah.
So I would say it's probably SoCal's one and only like overland show. Like we don't get a Pacific or we don't get a Overland Expo out here. This is probably as close as you're going to get aside from Off-Road Expo.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they've tried to, this year they're really going after like making it more of a festival than just an off-road show. Like I said, they added a ton of performers, DJs, like live bands and singers and things like that. And so I'm really excited about it. Really looking forward to it. It's going to be a huge show. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Damn, that's next weekend, huh?
Not this coming weekend. So a week from this Friday, basically.
And it's funny. So, I had some communication with them early on in the year, and I feel the same way, Casey. I feel like it was like we need to talk about that. And you brought it up once before, and then you were like, hey, dude, we're going to Pure 4x4, and I'm like, well, when is that? It's like, it's like hockey for me. I want to watch hockey, but every time I think about hockey, I'm like, oh, the season's over.
Game 7 of the Stanley Cup.
Like, did someone say hockey? We should go to a hockey game. Oh, this is the last hockey game.
I think this is going to be one of the biggest ones they've had yet because they're shifting more towards, because they're pushing for it to be bigger. And like I said, we tried to get a booth last year. We were just too late. Thursday, they have for VIP guests and vendors like open taco bar and beer, and then everything pretty much starts for regular ticket holders Friday morning.
Okay.
Damn.
They do trail runs and all kinds of stuff.
Okay. Yeah, well, we'll definitely keep up to date on that and talk about it as it gets closer, and then I'm sure you'll do a full recap if we are not able to be there. I'm looking at the calendar. I'm leaving that Sunday, so I might be able to pull off Friday.
Where are you going?
we're going on a family vacation up north. Since I'm unemployed and Presley's out of school, we're gonna go on vacation. So yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's what you do when you don't have a job and you're bored. And your wife works for a hotel company, and they happen to have a hotel up north. You go, we're gonna go sit by the pool. So that's our plan. Well, cool. Casey, I'm interested to see what you do with that antenna, and Jose, I'm interested to see where and how you get yours installed.
I have a whole gigantic list of. I just made the list today. Like, okay, what do I need to do to get ready for this event? And I went, fuck, I need to ask them if they can push it back a week.
Yeah, exactly.
Based on how much shit I need to get done before.
I can't be ready by then, guys. Can you? You still got to build me that tailgate before the event.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks to Midland for joining us tonight, for Kaylee and Olivia.
Huge thanks to Midland.
Huge thanks to Midland.
Not just for coming on the show, but
just in general.
Everything else.
Thanks to our in-studio guest that's been with us for most of the show. If you have not been watching on YouTube, you've missed some sock puppet action and some acting and some other things that have been happening behind me here all night long while someone's being unsupervised. And then we will keep you guys informed as we get closer to that Pure 4x4 and as we have more stuff to communicate about Midland and the things they have going on there. So, all right, guys, anything else before we cut it? Nope. I'll take that as a no. All right, everybody. Thank you for hanging out with us in the chat room again. You guys are always keeping us on our toes. And then Jason says, go on vacation without a job. Try that in a small town. All right, guys. Thanks for joining us in the chat room. And Presley says good night.